Alright folks, in the heat outside, it only took maybe 30 minutes to 40 minutes for this to dry. You see it here how tight that leather shrinks to your gun. So if you're worried about breaking something on the weapon, don't do it like this. The only problem is, I didn't look here, and this piece should have been higher up. I really should have cut this to strap higher. I had done that on my second holster and forgot. So I'm going to try to rework this as we go. Well, there, it still come out. So it's a decent fit to start as long as we don't make it too tight. That's all we want, folks. Beautiful. You see the shiny spot? That's what our sight did. I'm going to end up laying this piece of leather in here. So I'm going to cut into this piece to allow for that sight, a little bit more room. I'm not cutting deep, folks. We're going to use this on the opposite side to put pressure on it when we glue it in. I'm also going to make a mark in here just so I know where my end of my sight is. This strip, I'm going to bring it out and I'm going to curl it around the cap in front of those sights to help protect them too. It's just all stuff I kind of come up with when I started designing them. So I am going to take and I'm going to notch this case back just a hair. Now always put a piece of leather underneath. That'll help protect you, not necessarily protect the table, but protect your knife blade from dulling too fast. Alright, ready to glue this first piece in. Just make sure I stay on track and maybe some marks here. Now folks, this glue spreads easy. Easy. Don't get too close to the sides so much. So I thought I was a little bit neater than that. Not the best way to glue it, but it'll work. Let that dry. It doesn't take but a few minutes. Kind of in a hurry, so like I said, I got to get this thing made in 2 days and dried out and all the bugs worked out of it. Can you see the groove it put in there? And the sight itself will work that groove even deeper. That'll be the first piece we'll sew. And see, we still got quite a bit to trim off the end. We'll trim that later. I'm just going to kind of clip the corner just a little bit here. Just a little. And mark this back underneath as best I can. Why? I'm going to scuff this. Just going to scuff it up a little bit for the glue to take a bit better. So that'll help that glue set in faster. Alright, that's good enough. I'll put a little bit down in here too, folks. So I glue it. Glue it and screw it. Everywhere. Tight, tight, tight. You see that glue all coming out. You can get that glue off later. Don't worry about it. It should be dry by now. Dry enough. I'm going to stitch this now. Mark it out and stitch it. I want to find out exactly where I'm going to end this at. I want it just a little bit beyond my barrel. Not by much. Alright, so I'm a ½ inch in there. I'm going to take that into 11/16, folks. So my stitch is going to be at 11/16. I'm going to stitch right over my ink lines. So I'm just going to run my lines with ink. Good enough. I got a 3-prong and a 4-prong. That 4 is kind of looking too wide. The 3 goes in between, so I think that 3 is going to be good. 3, I'll just do those first. A lot of work, guys. It really is. I'll be doing this for quite a period of time, trying to get it done if I want it done in time. Many hours of work. But this little device will save a lot of blisters. Now I'm a bad boy. I buy these cheap chairs for about 10 or 15 bucks, so I don't mind ruining it. Just about everything in my office is a workshop too. Forgot to tell you earlier, you need a needle. I opt for a curved one. I want to sew one line if I can. So the only way for me to do that is to start in here and work my way out around and go all the way down through. And I'm going to start from this stitch here and jump up. So this will be my first hole. Now your craft thread is supposed to go inside of here through a hole in here. But I used a wax thread. It plugs the hole up, so I found it's easier just for me to leave it on the outside. You have a groove that faces the direction you work, and your line faces the direction you will work. Tag in stays towards your work hand over here. Force it all the way through. As pretty tight. I need to get a hold of this tag end and pull it out. Got that out. You need to pull out twice as much. You're going to stitch the back side of this as hand. You're acting as a human sewing machine. So you grab this here, hold your tag in, retract the needle slowly, and once you get it out, then you can pull out some line. And I'm going to want a lot of line, enough line to go all the way around that. Just make sure you still have enough left on the spool to match what you pulled out. Pull this end through. You don't have to do what I'm going to do, but it works for me. Get that needle threaded up, and just so I don't lose it later on. Just like you were making your D-loop for a bow, I put a little ball on there so it can't pull through. Okay, now folks, I hook this on my finger. I keep my finger against the back of the leather if I can, but just off to the side. You got to hold this line tight, especially when you start. Now remember, we're coming around for one continuous line, so our next hole will be here. We'll jump to here. Push it through. As long as your thread's through, retract it. See the little loop here? It's hard to see back with black, I know. I'm going to take my needle and put it through that loop and pull all that line through. It's kind of tied there. Pull this back down. You see this knot's really loose on it. Just tighten it. Keep your line short for your next hole, and then as you're shoving it through, let the roller allow the line out. You're going to keep tension by pulling back initially, and then let it roll through. You'll see a black dot go around as it rolls. See, the line's going out right now. And I'm just pushing through. You get through, holding the roller in my hand with my thumb, pull back till you get that little loop. Loop your string through and pull it back. Pull it tight. It takes some work. Now to match my stitches, I got to jump down a hole. And a lot of that run didn't cut through, so this is going to be some grunt work. I hope I don't break needles doing this, folks. Keep your thumb back if you can. I didn't get all the way through there. It's going to make it much more difficult. Now sometimes if you pull too hard, your line from the back will pop through to the front and cause a bump. If that happens, just grab it and pull it back through, and then tighten your line back up again. I'm going to work this right around, folks. I'm not going to videotape it all. Now, if you find that you missed a hole, like I just missed a stitch, grab that needle, pull this knot out, and take the needle back through the way it went. Now I have a little loop sticking through. Just pull it out and go back to what you were doing. And notice I'm holding my line up now. This way it's pulling it straight up and keep it nice and tight. You can almost see the leather curling. At least you gotta be careful you don't cut your line when you're coming through. So I'm gonna angle it real sharp. Try to avoid that thread. Now this is the last one. This is where we're gonna terminate. So what I do, I don't know if it's the right way, I place my needle inside the loop and leave it there. Pull it out and cut it off. Look at that, folks. I was out of line. I got lucky. Okay, grab your needle and pull that thread right to the inside. And just tie it. Trim it close. And then what I do, try not to melt stitches. I melt them down just to the knot so that knot won't come undone. Not the straightest. Like I said, I haven't done it in a long time.